Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 21st February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, before getting into the today's newspaper analysis, I have a certain update with regards to the free online workshop which going to be conducted from this Saturday onwards, and from this Saturday and this workshop will be continued in every fourth Saturday of every month, so that the workshop the workshop is free for all the UPSC aspirants. The link for the registration of this workshop is provided below in the description, so go and I will look into it. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides, so have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. The first news is El Nino, La Nina. So this is the news is related to the recent study where it has linked the El Nino as well as La Nina with the rising Delhi's as well as Mumbai winter pollution. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the details of the news. Before that, we will look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to Indian and world geography. Similarly, under mains, it is related to in GS paper 1 through a major topic called geography, through a subtopic called Indian geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone, etc. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's get into the further details of the news. So as I said, a study has been conducted where it has linked the El Nino as well as La Nina phenomenon to the Delhi as well as Mumbai air pollution. This is the first time such external phenomenon like the El Nino and as well as La Nina have been linked with the local meteorological condition, and this external factors doesn't generate any new sources of pollution, but they might be responsible for influencing the distribution of pollution across the space, across different places as well as region. And Delhi has experienced cleaner air when compared to the Mumbai's dirtier air. So Mumbai during 2022, this is the year where the globe has experienced the La Nina phenomena. During that year, Mumbai has experienced for the first time the dirtiest air, and this dirtiest air is more dirtier when compared to the Delhi's air pollution during the winter time. And during that year, Delhi has experienced Delhi has experienced cleaner air when compared to its previous years. So this is what the study is about. And the climate change, since the climate change is expected and the climate change related negative impacts is also being expected, this might increase the strength as well as frequency of the El Nino as well as the La Nina phenomenon. And these influence are pretty weak as of now. As the time moves on, during the future courses of time, this climate change will have a huge impact on the strength and frequency of El Nino as well as La Nina phenomena, which in turn will have a huge impact on the local meteorological condition. And this could increase the hurdles in the cleanup measures by the government. This could result in unexpected situations like Mumbai winter pollution, and Mumbai government or the Mumbai corporation hasn't been prepared for this new type of meteorological condition which has been arised because of external influence like El Nino as well as La Nina. Tackling the emission of the pollutants at the source still remain the most effective way of addressing the air pollution. And air in India cities are dirty because of high base load emission. Measures like artificial rains, odd or even scheme, as well as banning the construction site during the peak hours are a kind of knee-jerk reaction, they are not effective in the long run. So what the study has said is that the government need to focus on forming a long-term strategy to reduce the emission from the sources. And till now, identifying the potential polluting source is one of the major thing to reduce the air pollution across the globe. So this kind of thing could be achieved only because of the formation of long-term strategy, not by the the knee-jerk reactions or the knee-jerk schemes like artificial rains or odd or even scheme, as well as the other regulations like banning the constructions during the winter time, so on and so forth. So this is what the thing is about, and let's look into what does this El Nino phenomenon is. See, this El Nino phenomenon arises whenever there is a abnormal condition that arises in the equatorial region of the Pacific part. For example, this is the normal condition where we could able to see that the coast of Australia is experiencing the low pressure, that is high temperature, and the coast of South America is experiencing the low temperature, that is high pressure. As a result of which there will be circulation of air will be taking place in the anti-clockwise direction because of the pressure differences between the Australian as well as the South American continent, and this pressure difference has the potential to influence the monsoon in India. If this cycle is going to be reversed means then such a phenomenon is called as El Nino phenomenon. So this is what the thing is. So we could able to see that this is the El Nino year where the low pressure condition has been formed in the South American continent and a high pressure condition has been formed in the Australian continent, so that the circulation of air will be reversed, which in turn will be leading to reverse circulation of the monsoon, so which will have huge impact on the Indian climatic condition. So this is what the thing is about with regards to the El Nino. In terms of La Nina, it is the reverse of it, where we could able to see that the northeastern part of the Australian continent will be experiencing low pressure. On the other hand, the South American continent will be experiencing the high pressure. So this is what the El Nino as well as La Nina phenomenon, and these two conditions have the potential to impact the local meteorological condition, that is our Indian monsoon. So this is what the thing with regards to the El Nino as well as La Nina phenomenon is about. So what need to be studied further is we should be aware of monsoon system, what is southwest monsoon, what is northeast monsoon, and also we should be aware of the Indian Ocean dipole, and then we should be aware of the United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change and the amendment which was brought following the implementation of United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, and what are all the policies, government policies were tuned to align with this convention. So this is what the thing with regards to the news is about, and this is what the thing which we needed to be further aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. WHO, World Health Organization, has launched the digital health platform which has been agreed during India's presidency in G20. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to economic development through a subtopic called issues relating to development and management of social sectors relating to health, education and human resource. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the explanation part of the news. So one of the priority agreement which was made during India's G20 presidency is between India and WHO, that is launching of global initiative on digital health. The platform is for sharing the knowledge as well as digital products among the countries, and the initiatives will be a network with four main components. First is the country leader trackers as well as country's resource portal, and then transformative toolbox, and then knowledge exchange. So these are all the four main components of this initiative or this platform, and it will be helpful in democratizing the digital health technology, which will be helpful for the global south countries, that is the developing as well as underdeveloped country. What the government has said is that, the government has said that the pandemic was the catalyst for digital transformation that has happened in the health sector. For example, government has utilized or used the digital technology to manage the largest vaccination drive which happened during the COVID, and then that is the COVID platform, which is the digital platform created by the government to manage the vaccination drive. And at the same time, the e-Sanjeevani portal also been created with the help of the digital technology, which ensures the virtual kind of treatment for the patient, those who are present in the isolated part of the country, that is because their access to the health has been restrained because of geographical as well as the other technological as well as historical cultural factors. And this platform also allowed India to issue digital verifiable vaccination certificate. This new initiative will also support countries in three ways: by listening to their need, by aligning the resource to avoid fragmentation, and by providing quality assured products. So these are all the three ways in which this initiative will be helping the developing countries. And with nearly half of the world's population doesn't have access to the health service, but 90% of the global population have access to the 3G technology. So with this technology or with this access to the technology, we could able to enable the people to have the access to the health sector. So this is what the plan is about, and this is the potential for the digital health is about. So what is the importance for digital health is, see, it empowers the patient. So because of the access to the digital technology, the patient themselves could able to understand what is the disease they have been affected by, and what are all the things or what are all the precautionary measures that they need to take care of. Secondly, it will have a improved access, like as I said, e-Sanjeevani portal of Government of India, which ensure the online treatment for those people, those who have been present in the marginal part of the country, and it will be reducing the cost, and it increases the quality in terms of medicine as well as the treatment that has been provided to the patient, and the personalized medicine making for the patients will also be enabled, and then treatment for disease will be made easy through this digital technology, and then the efficiency of the health sectors will also get increased. So this is what the importance or the impact the digital health will be creating in a health sector. So what is the challenges for digital health is that even though the people could able to access the digital technology, there is a problem of equitable access. So even though we could able to increase the access, it is doubtful whether this access will be equitable or not. Secondly, it will also be leading to ethical challenges like right to privacy and others, so on, and other challenges which comes under the ethical aspects. Thirdly, data management, that is because of the implementation of digital health, more amount of data will be generated, and there is a concern with regards to the management of this data without any kind of ethical issues, and this is what the challenges the digital health poses to the public as well as the state as the whole. So what need to be studied further is, we should be aware of the AYUSHMAN BHARAT scheme, its structure, function as well as implementation agencies, and what is the objective of it. Secondly, we should also be aware of the National Health Mission. Thirdly, we should also be aware of the health provisions that has been provided in the Constitution. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Article 142. Why Supreme Court has squashed the Chandigarh mayor election and why it matters. So the news is related to the recent judgment by Supreme Court using the Article 142 to squash the mayor election being conducted in Chandigarh, and this election has caused a national debates because of the presiding officers' malified functions, or the presiding officers' intention to do malified thing during the election. So this is what the news was about. Let's look into the detail of the news. First, we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to Indian polity and governance, constitution, political system, Panchayat Raj, public policy, and rates issues. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 2 through a subtopic called appointment to various constitutional posts, powers, function, responsibility of various constitutional bodies. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Let's look into the explanation part of the news. The Supreme Court has squashed the result of mayor election of Chandigarh after finding the presiding officer has deliberately defied the or invalidated the 8 ballots, and the Supreme Court has set aside the result as contrary to law, but refused to quash the election process itself. So this is what the judge, this is what the thing with regards to the judgment is about. So on what grounds did Supreme Court struck down the result is, see, the court used its power under Article 142 of the Indian Constitution to do complete justice, to protect the sanctity of the electoral democracy, which has been compromised during the Chandigarh mayor election. And the bench said that while the petitioner is reflected to have polled 12 votes, the 8 votes which were treated as invalid were wrongly treated to be so, and each of those invalid were in fact validly cast. So those vote which has been made invalid by the presiding officer were actually valid vote. This is what the judgment been given by the Supreme Court about, and based on this only the final judgment has been given. So what is the importance of this election is, so the power of the mayor on the Chandigarh municipal corporation is limited to calling the meeting as well as deciding the agenda of the meeting. Although the corporation is 5-year term, the mayor is elected only for the 2-year term, and the post is reserved for a woman candidate during the first as well as the 4th year of every corporation. And the election is important from the perspective of political angle. That is the reason why so much of negative or the malefacting has happened. And what is the aftermath of the election is, see, after the video of the Mashi, who is the presiding officer, marking the ballot paper so that they could be declared invalid, that is the person whose paper has been marked by the returning officer has been marked as invalid. And the court said that the presiding officers has evidently put his own mark on the bottom half of the ballot, so for the purpose of creating a ground for treating the ballot to have been invalidly cast, so as to secure a result by which the 8th respondent would be declared elected. So this is what the outcome of the judgment is about. So what is the history of the mayor election? See, the municipal corporation mechanism was introduced during British rule in Madras during the year 1688. Later in Bombay and Calcutta it was set up in 1762. The process of introducing for an elected president in the municipalities was first made or introduced through Lord Mayo's resolution in 1870. Since then, the current form of electing the mayor has been followed from the Lord Mayo's resolution only. And this 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 has introduced or transferred 18 different powers to the urban local bodies. So this is what the historical aspect of the mayor election is about. Let's look into what is the election as well as the responsibility of the mayor is. See, the election and tenure of mayor varies across different parts of the country. There is no anti-defection law for the local body election, like in the case of the state as well as the central election. Their role and responsibility are to govern the local civic body, and they are the first citizen in the city, and they will be presiding the house during the meeting, and they will also be responsible for budget preparation as well as implementation and monitoring. So this is what the election as well as the function and responsibility of the mayor is about, and this is what the overall news is about. What are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of the constitutional provisions with regards to the local body, and we should be aware of the state election commission, its structure, function, mandate, and what are all the constitutional provision being provided to back it. Thirdly, we should also be aware of the schedule 11 as well as schedule 12, which has been created or inserted through 73rd as well as 74th Constitutional Amendment. Finally, a chip fabrication plant in India, the progress of work. So the first chip fabrication plant is going to be built in India. That is what the news is about. Let's look into the detail of the news. Before that, we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under means it is related to economic development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, let's look into the explanation of the news. See, the Union Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, what it has said is that Tata Groups as well as Israeli chip companies have applied to set up foundries in the country. If approved or been cleared by the government, it will under the India's semiconductor mission, it could pave way for the country to finally to have the fabrication plant after decades of failure attempts. It will leverage India in the international chip war, which has so far been shaped by Chinese as well as US. And India is competing with some of its key allies like US and Europe to attract chip makers, and it is offering a 50% capital expenditure subsidy to successful applicant under 10 billion incentive scheme. So what is the proposal on the table is, see, India's chip incentive scheme broadly covers three aspects of the ecosystem, that is the semiconductor ecosystem. First is the fully blown foundries that can manufacture chip and packaging plants like ATMP facilities, assembly and testing project called OSAT plants. And secondly, US Micron Technology has got the clearance for setting up of ATMP plant in Gujarat, and the Tata Group and the Tower Semiconductor have sent a separate proposal for foundries. The collective value is 22 billion. And in OSAT space, CG Power as well as Industrial Solution have said it has entered into joint venture agreement with the Renesas Electronics America and Thailand-based Stars Micro Electronics to set up a semiconductor assembly as well as testing plant in India. So these are all the different companies that are going to implement in the different components of the semiconductors. What are all the earlier plans? See, a joint venture was reached between Foxconn as well as the Vedanta, but it was dropped in midway. And at the same time, the Tower had earlier applied under the scheme to set up 3 billion plant in Karnataka in partnership with International Consortium, that is ISMC, but this plan also got struck down or got dropped in the midway. So this is what the earlier proposals. And what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of the semiconductor and what are all the components of it, and what is the raw material that is required for making a semiconductor, and in which country these raw materials are available. Secondly, we should also be aware of what are all the different semiconductor schemes being implemented by government to ensure there is the growth as well as development of semiconductor ecosystem in India. So this is what the news is about, and this is what the things which we needed to be further aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. Certain investigation claims of alleged big data breach of Indians. So recently, a big data breach allegation have been found, and it is being investigated by CERTIN, which is the body comes under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Let's look into the details of the news. Before that, we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to challenges to internal security through communication networks, role of medias and social network sites in international security challenges, and basics of cyber security, money laundering and its prevention, which comes under GS paper 3, internal security. Okay, the details of the news. So the India's cyber security agency is investigating the claims of what could be the potentially a big data leak, which encompass the personal information of millions of Indians, and this information was leaked on GitHub, which is the programming kind of website where codes could be developed individually, and through this only this data leak has been identified, and CERTIN is investigating whether the data in this document is new or collected from some breaches in the past. And this leaked database claimed to have information from across the institution, that is from both the government as well as the private institution, and it claims to have data pertaining to personal information of persons in EPFO and data users of BSNL, Air India, Reliance, so on and so forth. So what does the CERT is about? So it is the functional organization of Ministry of Electronics and Communication, or Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and it is a national nodal agency to respond to the computer security incidents that is happening across the country, and it is operational since 2004, and its functions are collection of information, forecasting of information, as well as acting during the emergency time, and then coordinating the different agencies which are acting isolatedly during the cyber breach incidents, as well as issuing guidelines with regards to the cyber safety. So this is what the function of the CERT is about. Secondly, we should also be aware of what are all the reasons that has been responsible for the recent increasing cyber attacks is the covert warfare. See, unlike the conventional or the traditional warfare, this cyber warfare, which is called as covert warfare, where a particular country who's responsible for doing this kind of cyber attack could able to escape from this attack very easily, and they could easily avoid the responsibility of carrying this kind of attacks, and that is the reason why it is called as covert attack. Secondly, it has arisen because of India's adverse relationship with China for the past few years, and because of the increased dependency of technology and increased emerging new technologies. So these are all the things that is that has contributed for the recent increase in the cyber attacks in India, not only in India, across the globe. And what is the steps that has been taken by government is setting up of institutions like CERT, which we have seen in the previous slides, and also the data protection laws, and then banning the unsafe app which has the potential to cause the cyber breaching or cyber security threat to the people in India. So this is what the reason as well as the steps being taken by government to reduce the cyber security threat in India. So what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of what is cyber insurance and what are all the components that is covered under cyber insurance. Secondly, we should also be aware of the new emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, generative AI, IoT, augmented virtual, as well as the mixed reality, and then what does the semiconductor is, and what does the semiconductor chip is made up of, and what are all the raw materials being involved in preparing a semiconductor. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Let's move on to today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share, as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel, so that you will be receiving the daily current affair notification, and also weekly environmental as well as science and tech notification. Thank you.